what is the optimal diet? There's many diets out there being promoted by books and television and talk show hosts. A friend of mine says, "He who makes the definition wins the argument." So what is the definition or the criteria for a healthy diet? Is it for weight loss, heart health, diabetes? Lots of different categories. But any diet that restricts calories will cause weight loss if that's what you're looking for. But it may not be healthy. Composition of the diet is more important than the calories in a diet. Well, let's talk a minute about SAD. What's SAD? The standard American diet is SAD. The composition of the standard American diet is so poor that anything by comparison is better. Only 7% of the standard American diet for most people is fruit and vegetables. High in animal products, high in refined foods. Here's another way to look at the added sugars and fats make up a huge part of the standard American diet. And here it is, right there, what we get at most of the fast food places. Well, how well has the standard American diet worked for us? Not too well. If you look at our population, a third of us are overweight, a third of us are obese, and actually combined 2/3 is going on 3/4 of our population is overweight. How about diabetes? Again, we have greater than half going on 2/3 of our population with diabetes or pre-diabetes, and a third of the people with diabetes don't even know it. In the literature, most studies of diets are compared to the SAD diet, the standard American diet. That's the diet of the general population. It is so poor that even little changes bring results. So, a lot of people tell me they're eating the Mediterranean diet because they've heard it's a good diet, it's promoted, and it's definitely better than the standard American diet. But let's take a look at it compared to some other diets. Well, the literature certainly shows that the Mediterranean diet works. There's many, many papers out there that talk about it. However, let's look for a little bit at the evidence for the optimal diet from the Adventist Health Studies. The Seventh-day Adventist community in Loma Linda, California, and now extended, the study's been extended around the world, is a population that is great for doing research. They tend not to smoke, they tend not to drink alcohol, they tend to live a fairly healthy lifestyle that eliminates lots of the other factors that contribute to disease. So we can look at their diet variation and come up with some fairly reliable data. Now, when we look at how this breaks down, the Seventh-day Adventist Church encourages people to eat a diet according to the laws of the Old Testament, and even more than that, to try to eat the Garden of Eden diet. The Garden of Eden diet is totally plant-based, and they use the word vegan in their study. Now, the word vegan isn't one that I generally like because it's so misunderstood. The vegan diet means no animal products, or as some people say, nothing with a mother or a face. However, a vegan diet's not necessarily healthy because a vegan diet can include French fries and Mountain Dew, which I think we would all agree probably aren't the healthiest things for us. What I would prefer to use as a description is a plant-based whole food diet. Whole foods being foods that resemble where they came from, not processed out of recognition. Or another way to say that would be a low-fat vegan, no added sugar, salt, or preservatives type of a diet. However, the Seventh-day Adventists have used the term vegan, so we'll follow their term. About 8% were in the vegan category. Another 28% added cheese and milk, dairy products, and eggs to that. Then we have another 9.9-10% of the population adding some fish. And then we have about 5.5% eating what would resemble a Mediterranean diet. And then you've got their non-vegetarian or omnivorous diet. Now, this still wouldn't resemble our standard American diet because they're generally avoiding pork, and they do have that peer pressure from the rest of the Adventists in their community to eat healthier. So we'll show you why we know that their diet in this category isn't quite like the standard American diet. When we look at how this diet affects weight, we break these categories down into several groups. On the left, and this one table shows men and women separate, the others will combine them, but on the left you'll see the people eating the vegan or the plant-based diet, and you see the stair-stepping up to people eating the standard diet. And you notice that actually only the people eating the vegan diet are in the normal weight range. Now, weight's important not just because of how we look, but because of the risk of death that's associated with that. Here's looking at patients who are 65 and older and the risk of death as compared to their weight, or the BMI, which is that calculation we use to adjust for differences in height. The normal BMI would be in that 18 to 25 range, and you see what happens when you get out of that range. That risk of death starts to climb significantly. The study's recently been extended or repeated to include younger patients, and the same holds true. Now, when we look at diabetes, those eating a vegan diet had the lowest risk of diabetes, less than 2%, while 8% of those, or close to 8% of those eating the standard diet had diabetes. Now, this is how we know this study is not really representative, or this category doesn't represent ours, because in our standard American diet we've got 14% plus of the population. We'd have to add another bar in there. So even their non-vegetarian diet is healthier than the standard American diet. So keep that in mind as we look at the rest of these. So when you look at anything compared to the standard American diet, it gets better. So if you look here at the Mediterranean diet, it is definitely an improvement from the non-vegetarian diet. However, if you go down there to the totally plant-based diet, you see that's the optimal diet. So if you would compare somebody eating a vegan diet to somebody who was eating eggs and dairy products, you would see that they weren't as healthy. So it depends on where your starting point is when you start making these comparisons. When you look at high blood pressure, we see the same thing. Nearly 25% of the people in the standard diet have high blood pressure, less than 10% in the vegan diet. So all those people in between that generally we give medicine to don't really need it. They just need to be told to eat a healthier diet. We see the same thing with cholesterol, and notice here a very small difference between the Mediterranean diet and the standard diet, and that's because the Mediterranean diet is really pretty full of dairy products and it does include meat, and until you start to peel those things away, you don't get down to what the optimal diet really is. So the Seventh-day Adventist study help us see that the healthiest diets down the spectrum are those that are full of plants and whole foods, not the animal products, not the additives. So which parts of the Mediterranean diet, though, are good? What are the things in the diet that did give it some improvement? And when they looked at this, it was the vegetables and the nuts, in particular walnuts. Not the olive oil, not the red wine. Dr. Greger on nutritionfacts.org has a whole series of nice video presentations on the Mediterranean diet, including this one, Which Parts of the Mediterranean Diet Extend Life. I refer you to his videos. There's another diet similar to the Mediterranean diet called a DASH diet, the Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. This is recommended by many of the medical professional organizations. But even in their diet, which is not totally vegetarian, they notice that those who consume a vegetarian diet have markedly lower blood pressures than do non-vegetarians. So then why don't they recommend a vegetarian diet or a vegan diet? Because the benefits of a vegetarian diet, they say, aren't yet palatable to non-vegetarians. So we just recommend the DASH diet. But we don't give people the benefit of the doubt and tell them there is a better diet, that they should try the totally plant-based whole food diet. That's where we should start. If they can't make it, at least hopefully they can get down toward somewhere on this spectrum toward a better health. I encourage my patients to get at least to 90% plant-based. If they have heart disease, diabetes, things like that, that they really need to reverse, I encourage them to get to that 100% whole food plant-based diet if they possibly can. So for more information, take a look at our websites. There'll be an email contact there if you have specific questions. Thank you.